Well, hello and good afternoon, friends. I am Ed Bellina,
Hello, guys. Alvaro Cuba.
and we're your manufacturing meetup buddies. So, welcome to the Manufacturing Meetup podcast. This is a show where we kick back, we talk about our experiences on the shop floor that hopefully many of you will commiserate with us on. And we're only so happy to come to you once again. Can you believe our 70th episode? Wow. So let's get to started.
Well, guys, great to have you with us again. We hope you enjoyed our last episode with the highlights of 2024 and the predictions for 2025. We venture out there, so we'll see by the end of next year how we did it. But for now, we thought before closing the year, we wanted to come to you with a very special episode. It's going to be kind of a summary. I'll explain in a little moment. But first, we wanted to share a little bit. This has been a complete new experience for Ed and I.
God,
no?
yes.
We started this at the beginning of this year. We are finalizing our season 1. And we really didn't know what to expect, really, Ed.
No, so Alvaro, my headphones came in and this really fancy looking mic, and I was like, "Oh, this is for real." But I had no idea. Okay, and looking back on our first episode and maybe the second and the third, I was embarrassed. I was embarrassed. Okay, I know that I have a bit of a challenge allowing empty space in a conversation. I'm a talker. So I add in things like, and to watch myself do that, I was like, oh my God, I'm horrible. I've given presentations to like 1,000 executives and I don't sound this infantile. So it was sobering, scary, exciting. And then you start looking at the counts like, people are actually watching this. I'm like, oh, I guess I better clean up my act here. And, we're gonna tell you about all the little things that happened through these podcasts, but it has been an incredible experience, and I just have to say it's been a lot of fun. And you discover a little bit about yourself, right? When you do this, because you're not used to watching yourself or listening to yourself, and some of us, listen, you don't get to be executives in corporate America without having some slightly inflated image of yourself. And when you watch that on TV, on the video, you go, oh my God. Anyway, Alvaro, your insights, because I'm sure
Well,
you've
I
had a
think
few.
you said it all, Ed. I have little to add. When people were asking, hey, you're doing a podcast, or I was telling to them, and they wanted to know and understand. And it was scary at the beginning.
Yeah.
No, and when you have to talk to other people and try to convey a message or an idea, and you don't know if it's coming or not. We had even our classes about vocals, la 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 la, exercises, da, at the beginning, no, but something that our producer told us is, well, at the beginning it's tough, but when you start feeling that and you are not hearing your voice anymore, that's when you are starting to become comfortable, and that's what this starts to work. I can tell you several episodes had to go before we got to that moment, but it was also very fun. And we had a lot of laugh and great moments. And I think it's nice to have this duality, no, the scary part, but the fun part, and that's what keeps us going and trying to think on better things to do it, and at the
Yeah.
same time, how we continue to have fun.
I agree. It's exciting. I remember thinking to myself, what if nobody watches, right? Like, what a blow. Like, we think we've got interesting things to talk about, and then all of a sudden, like, I was joking about a prince in Nigeria watched our podcast. I was like, okay, I've seen that on the internet before. But it was really, really a very humbling experience for me, because one of the things that I didn't realize I did this so often, is I am horrible about interrupting people. I've got all ideas in my head and I want to get them out. And so here's official apology, right, to my partner and to our producer, Sarah, for being such an interrupter. And I'm working on it. It's a recovery program, right? The first thing is admit you have a problem. I think I've gotten better, but I still have a ways to go. But Alvaro, you have some really
apology accepted. To make it official.
On
record.
But you have some interesting stats to share that blew my mind.
But before going to the stats, what about now that we are talking about how we felt, a little insight from you? Something personal that you felt that you want to share.
I felt scared, and I was wondering whether this was going to resonate or not. And here's something that was really special for me. My grandson, Colin, who's 12 years old, watches our podcast. He's watched every single one. And my granddaughters, maybe not every single one, but my granddaughters have watched it too. My sons. This has become deeply personal for me.
Yeah. I felt that as well. People and friends that I didn't connect for a long time, and different countries or different cultures, and then come and say, "Hey, I saw you," and great connection, and it has made me to retake a lot of connections.
Yep.
And make me feel great about all the friends that are out there. Obviously, family always liking the episodes. But one small fun anecdote. One day I received a package, and the package was coming from my co-host, Ed Balina. And then I opened it. It was very nice. A hat, a T-shirt, and a clock, a timer. So I said, okay, I'm getting here and a small
look,
piece of advice.
To put this like in perspective, okay? That was my problem, right? So I go on Amazon and I buy a big kitchen timer like this, right? But it was like 2 for $7. And I was like, I only need one of these. So what am I going to do with the other one? I'm going to send it to my buddy with his OPEX shirt and the hat. So it was just because I had an extra one, because you do a much better job than I at not rambling. But,
But that's what we are talking. Really, really about fun.
Yeah.
So, but all this, it wouldn't be that fun and that important and all that without our listeners. So we want to give a big thank you to everyone that have listened, that send us questions, that send us comments. Just a couple of stats. I always like the stats, as you know.
Mm-hmm.
The episodes has been watched in 28 countries.
Wow.
467 minutes recorded in total. And this amazing 153,000 videos, viewers, or downloaded.
Wow.
What do you think about that, Ed?
when our producer Sarah reviewed those numbers with us, I was completely blown away. I mean, I kind of watch, YouTube counts and all that other stuff, but 154,000 times people thought that it was worthwhile to watch or listen to what we were saying. And wow, thank you, thank you. That's great feedback. We look to get better. Next year we want 500,000. And I think we can get there because one of the things we talked about, and not to go too far into next year, but we realize that we don't want to make this just about two talking heads, right? Alvaro and I can talk our heads off about our experiences. We've been around for a while, but we're much more interested in bringing guests that are interesting to you, right? So one last personal thing, because I just thought about it. Something really special for me was having David, my son, on an episode. Wow, I was just like blown away, and he did an amazing job. So
he really did an amazing job.
I'm thrilled. Get ready, because the other Bellina GM, Eddie, who came out of the aircraft industry, is probably chomping at the bit.
So as you can tell, guys, my co-host is the Bellina family.
Yeah, it's the clan. It's the clan.
Yeah, it's the clan.
Bellina clan.
but no, really, big thank you. We are grateful to you all listeners, and we are also very, very thankful to a very special person. Our producer.
There may be a person
and
there.
The person who guide us and who help us. So you haven't seen her, so just there. Yeah. Sarah,
we love you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for all you've done. Yeah. You actually
have been amazing.
You made us look tolerable on these videos. You guys have no idea how much minutes are sitting on the editing room floor. It's probably about 3 foot deep. Okay. So,
yes.
Yeah, a very special call out.
Big applause.
Sarah. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Oh.
And with that, guys.
Let's watch the reel.
Yes, and let's watch the clips. No, this is talking about Sarah. She have prepared a very special of what the most populars, something never seen. So a quick compilation of that, and enjoy.
I worked for a person at that time that did not believe in vibration analysis, right? And I was getting ready to shut down our paper machine to preemptively change out a role. This guy was my boss, came out. He said, "What are you doing?" I said, "I'm getting ready to shut down. We're going to take this out." He goes, "Oh, hold on. I was a maintenance manager for a long time. I kid you not. This man ran to the paper machine, put his hand on the burring block, and said, 'Oh, we're not shutting down. This will run for weeks.' I said, 'Are you sure we have the data?' 'Oh, yeah. 9 o'clock that night, I got the phone call. We're down, the bearing went out. So I went into the plant, and at about 8 o'clock the next morning, we're starting up. And my boss comes out and says, 'What's going on? How come we were down?' And despite my better judgment, I couldn't help myself. I said to him, 'You know that bearing that you put your hands on yesterday and told me it's going to run for months?' 'Yeah.' 8:30 at night, I got a phone call in my house that it had ripped apart, and it took $50,000 worth of fabric with it." And he just looked at me, turned around, and walked away. So, believer in vibration analysis, right?
We had jars, and the jars, we needed to check that if they were filled properly, right, enough. And we had a very sophisticated machine with weights and counterweights and all that, electronics and all that. And one day, it stopped working. And we were producing thousands an hour. And one of the mechanics came with one spring and one small bar. Okay. So he was putting the spring, and the jar was passing. If it had enough weight, the spring was going down and was passing the bar. If it was not enough weight, it was not too much, and the bar was taking the jar out of the line. So simple. We changed. 1 year later, all the machines were using the spring
The system.
and the bar.
I'm
Yeah.
sure everyone that's listened to this podcast has had the experience where you come in 7:30, 8 o'clock in the morning or earlier, and you're trying to start up a process or a machine or a line, and you're there 24 hours later, right? Because you have the commitment to make sure that it starts
Yeah.
up. That
And
that
it's
you don't
part
do
of
that.
the job, no?
It's part of the job. Yeah,
But you are seeing, and I'm seeing now lines that run 3 hours, 4 hours,
without a stoppage.
and they stop the machine to do something in the
Right.
machine versus the machine stopping to you.
Exactly.
No.
Who's the
And
boss, right? Who's the boss? Is the
now
machine the
who's the
boss, or are
boss?
you the boss?
I recall going to my very first job and being so frustrated because everyone knew more than what I did. It was about steam and tubes and traps and all that. I knew nothing, and everyone knew everything. I went back to the dean in the university to complain. Hey, I have been all these years here, and you have taught me anything. I don't know this. And his reflection was, if we had to teach you everything that happens out there, a lifetime is not enough. What we taught you was to think, troubleshooting, to reflect, to analyze. With all those tools, you will be able to figure out whatever is out there.
My first exposure to vibration analysis, right, happened in a paper mill in Mehoopany, Pennsylvania, when I was a maintenance manager. And I went out, just new in the job, I'm learning. I went out to do a round, with my maintenance tech, right? So for those of you that are in manufacturing, you know what this is, but essentially, when you have these large processes, you assign your maintenance technicians to walk a prescribed route maybe it's once a week, maybe it's every 2 or 3 days, right? Where they monitor these key pieces of equipment.
With his box and his sensor.
Well, this guy,
And the note.
it wasn't quite that perfected back then, because it was vibration analysis. Right now, imagine a paper mill, very loud place. Everybody wears headphones, preserve your hearing. Okay. So I'm walking out with him. We walk up to the first motor, and he's got a broomstick with him. I'm like, oh, that's kind of interesting. He goes up and he places one end of the broomstick, right, on the bearing housing, and the other end of the broomstick on his headphone, on his muffs. I'm like, what? He goes, yeah, you can hear. And so he goes, yeah, you try it. Literally, you can. You can take a broomstick, put it on a bearing housing, put it on your earmuffs, and you can hear how that equipment is running, right? And you can actually hear bearing noise if it starts going bad. This person did this three times a week, right? Do you think they had a database in their head of what normal looks like and sounds like? Absolutely. Last week, I was at a major beer brewery in Georgia.
You told me about that. Yeah.
Yeah, and I had a terrific time. My first time well, not in a brewery, but looking at it from a beverage production standpoint. The one thing I will tell you is, when you walk out of a brewery, right, you smell like you've been in a bar for 10 hours. And that was new to me, right? I'm used to the gentler soda world where you come out maybe smelling like a lollipop or iced tea, but when you come out and you smell like you're coming out of a bar, it was an interesting experience. But the reason why I bring that up is,
Are you sure you were in the brewery?
I wasn't sampling. Maybe afterwards I sampled, but hey. The reason I bring that up, I'm going to find something that doesn't have any. So I use Apple Notes, okay, to document all of my observations. So if I find an issue, single filer transition rail is not aligned, right? I take a picture of that. And this helps me I take videos, bottles stumbling out of the discharge of a filler. I can describe it to you, but the slow-mo feature on our phones is amazing. They're like, hey, you're releasing the pressure off the container too hard. It's called snifting, right? They're like, really? I didn't think it was that bad. So then I play it back to slow mo and I show them what looks like an eruption when you first release the pressure in the container. They're like, that doesn't look good. I go, I know. And I've got the video to prove it. So to your point, this little machine is incredible. Unfortunately, trying to marry Apple Notes with Microsoft Windows, different problem. That we still haven't cracked the code on that.
Let's see. It's a question about leveraging review sites to help in the decision, right? And there were some examples like G2, Capterra, Gartner, Peer Insights, Trust Ratings, etc. I'm gonna hand this off to you because I'll be honest. I have experience with Gartner. Place a lot of faith in what comes out of that organization. You've got the other consultant companies, Bain, etc. But I don't necessarily go to review sites on this stuff. I try to find out like who is running this stuff, and I make that personal connection. So Alvaro, I'm gonna ask you to kind of take that one too.
I think it's a little bit of a mix. No, it's always, and we have been talking a lot of new technology and new things in Open Table or in Google, or you were talking about a trip.
Right.
No, just looking at the reviews, which is something that we didn't have before.
Right.
Helps a lot. No, it gives you an entry level. No, if you are choosing a restaurant and you go, hey, 3-star, or a hotel, or
Yep.
or whatever, no, 3-star, and then you start put 4, and then you can put, and then you have a couple of 5-star. Okay, then you can do a little bit more, no? So I wouldn't rule it out, and I use nowadays with the easy way that everyone can put reviews in. So I will check it out. I will not just focus 100% on that. Just give me a little bit of where I'm navigating.
Yep.
And then I will do what you say. Go and start getting direct connection, and then probably go and talk to other people that have already experiences. So then I'll round out and I'll have more input and more things. But for an initial map,
Right.
I would say I would recommend it. It's so easy. You go to
It
Google and you just put that, and it gives you 4 or 5, and you can check, and then it helps to start getting your an idea on any of these fields.
Yeah, and at least to your point, some information, and then you can draw your own conclusions as to how trusted the review is. No, I am a huge believer in reviews. I mean, with all the travel that we do, you land in places that you haven't been before. I live by Yelp. Yelp it's let me down 1 or 2 times. There might have been some sketchy like the cousin and the whole family gave this place good reviews, and you walk in there and there's botulism everywhere.
Friends, this is time to wrap up. We really hope that you enjoy the clips, and it has been, as we were saying at the beginning, a fantastic year. We learned a lot, and we are so thankful to all of you for watching us in YouTube, for listening us in iTunes, and more important, for your comments, your questions, your participation. And please keep doing that. Keep coming to us with your drink to kick back, relax, and talk about manufacturing. And tell your buddies, bring them to the coffee shop or to the bar, and we'll all enjoy together, and we'll continue to discuss great, fun things and having great time together.
Really, really thank you for tuning in with us and listening to our chats on a regular basis. It has been truly special. So thank you for tuning in today. Please continue to send your questions to AMA, Ask Me Anything episodes. They're really only as good as the questions that we get, so we want to encourage that. And now we're going to wrap up with where else you can find us. And we've joked with Sarah during this call that
The mouthful.
there are so many, it's a mouthful of things we have to say. It's like alphabet soup. So here we go. So email us at mmu@augury.com or find us on The Endpoint, which is a free online community for manufacturing folks like you and I and Alvaro.
That's great. You are mastering it, my friend.
I'm mastering. I'm not even looking anymore. So, and it is endpoint. I had to look back, augury.com. And we'll throw those addresses in the show notes for you. And we all want to wish you and your families an amazing holiday season. Time to spend time with the family and reflect and give thanks for all of the gifts that we have and how fortunate we are. So thank you and see you next year.
Yes. Happy holidays, guys. Thank you very much to my co-host, Ed, to our producer, Sarah, and to all of you for watching us. See you next year.